Hey everybody, I'm back at it. Apparently, so on this rant, actually, it's a react. I can actually properly, uh, I guess, say this one. It's a react video again because people ask me to do reacts to videos like this, and so I'm gonna start doing it, and I'm gonna keep doing it for as long as possible. I mean, I'll give my honest opinions on this. What's crazy to me is that I was working today, and I was working on something that was pretty serious, and in between like break times I was listening to this video, and I shouldn't have, all right, because it made me doing work a whole lot more difficult. I was like, I was infuriated by this. What I was hoping for in this speech was that he would take a decent amount of time, speak to the American people, and really speak to the issues that are going on right now, and like try to understand the pain that America's going through. I was obviously let down if you haven't watched the video, but we'll go through exactly why I was let down in this React video. So yeah, I keep giving this guy chances to rise to the occasion, and he continues to not do it. So Einstein theory here again. I should not expect this anymore. You know, I didn't vote. I don't have a skin in the game with this guy at all, as I explained before. I didn't vote for him. Um, I didn't think he would. I was hoping that he would do a better job, but he didn't. So at that aspect, he let me down. Um, but yeah, we are where we are. So without further ado, this is a press conference on what is it? It's June 1st, and this is President Donald Trump addressing the nation. So here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
To give you guys some context, because this is going to be on YouTube forever, right? So this is a day after. This is what, 6 days after George Floyd was murdered by a police officer. He was murdered for basically 9 minutes. The guy had a knee on his neck, and he killed him for 9 minutes. All right. President Trump thus far has not given more than not even 5 minutes on air addressing this issue. He's given a couple of tweets, but the tweets were mostly rants against Antifa and looters and rioters, nothing addressing the actual issues that are causing these protests, looters and riots. He's not addressing any of those issues. All he's doing is just focusing on very specific things that are negative, which I totally agree. People should not be looting or rioting. But he is not addressing why they're doing it. Okay? He hasn't given the proper amount of time to even talk about the history of violence against minorities here in America, or really shown any sort of care about George Floyd. All he's given is platitudes about it, and I thus far have been not impressed with his response. And then here we go again with me being unprofessional regarding my social media stuff not being turned off. I thought they were all turned off. I'm very sorry at this point. So, all right. Well, here we go. We'll hear him speak.
Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, my first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people.
It should be to serve the people, but whatever. Well, I'm being picky already.
Swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd.
This is a good start.
My
This part.
administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served.
Good.
He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob, the biggest victims of the rioting.
See, this is already taking a nosedive. Already. He talked about George Floyd for what, 10 seconds? And now he's talking about I'll just keep it going.
Our peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities.
By the way, those peace-loving citizens in the poorest communities are also the ones that are looting. They're Americans too. Understand why they're so angry.
And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order.
So what he's doing, so I've seen a history of this with President Trump, is that he makes almost every single issue that is negative for him an us versus them issue. Almost every single time. He needs to make it an us versus them so people can have an enemy to fight. All right. But when the enemy might be him and the system, to me it falls flat, you know? Making this an us versus them. He's not recognizing that those people that are looting and rioting are part of us. They are Americans. They're not some foreign entity that exists. They are an entity that are fed up with the way things are going. And don't get me wrong, I totally recognize there are some anarchists out there. There are some people that are just, looting stuff to loot stuff to get stuff, but there are legit people out there that are normal people that, guess what? They're out of a job because you told them to stay at home, And, I mean, I get it. The whole COVID-19 thing, like, I understand that we should be staying at home. I have rarely left my house in the past, I think it's like 7, 8, maybe even 9 weeks now, because I live with somebody that is high risk. And so I don't leave my house that often. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't want to see my loved one die from this virus, okay? And people are out of, a lot of people, disproportionately people of color are out of work because of this issue. And so you need to understand why they're angry right now. And he's not doing anything to try to understand why they're angry. So let's keep it going.
And an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists,
also
violent
Americans,
mobs,
also
arsonists,
Americans, also
looters,
Americans,
criminals,
also Americans, also
rioters,
Americans, also
Antifa,
Americans,
and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to
So this,
safeguard their residents.
this is how you are a poor leader, okay? Is blaming the people below you right away and not helping and not doing anything to like really help their issue. A leader leads from the front and will learn how to take the blame for things, understand that he's the top guy. He's the top guy. I don't, me personally, I don't think there should be a president. I think there should be a council. All right, so this will eliminate, to me, a whole bunch of problems. But for now, he's the top guy. So if you're going to blame all the people below you, guess what? You're at the top of that shit stack. All right, so some of that blame belongs on you. And so for you to sit there from your tower up on high and say that, they're not doing a good job, it's like, I mean, come on, man. You're the top guy in all of this. So you need to accept some of this blame. Stop just pointing fingers.
Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, like African American people of color have been for hundreds of years. Did that sound familiar? Did you give a fuck then?
Who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners
It's funny how he didn't call the guy that killed George Floyd a thug. It's amazing.
have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses.
And your civilians have been shot in the face by rubber bullets and gas canisters by the police. And I'll say this on all these because I understand that this is the internet and people don't watch these in order or understand my stance at all. I am pro-police. All right. I believe that there needs to be a police force, but I also believe that the police force or the law enforcement agencies in general could do a better job. I have friends that are in law enforcement, two of which I consider family, and these assholes that are bad law enforcement officers are putting my friends at risk. And I'm going to keep saying it because people have reached out to me and be like, hey, you need to recognize, and at least say that, it's not all cops are bad cops. And yeah, I got that. But not all African Americans are bad African Americans either. Just recognize that as well. So I'll keep saying this on at least I'll try to remember to say this on all these rants, is that I am pro law enforcement. However, some of them need to do their jobs better, and the ones that are covering up law enforcement misconduct are part of the problem as well. If you see somebody doing some vile fucking shit, like the 3 other officers that watched that man die, watching him being murdered, and two of which participated in his murder, those are what I'm talking about. So you need to clean up your own family, all right, and fix that shit.
Who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun. Here in the nation's capital, the Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed.
I like the way it leaves out that, I forget the man's name. I'm sorry that I didn't research this man's name before I started this. I should have, but I forgot exactly what he said in this speech. Was that there was also a man that owned a barbecue shop. I think it was in North Carolina. I could be wrong, so please, I apologize if I have where it was incorrect. But it was a man that was shot by the National Guard because they said that they were returning fire. Okay, and what bothers me is that, like I said, I'm a Marine, all right, and the fact that my own military members are firing on civilians is a problem. But yeah, that guy died. The civilian died by using these tactics to calm the populace. Notice how he didn't bring that up.
These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity.
Just like George Floyd and thousands of other people of color that have died at the hands of police brutality.
And a crime against God.
Okay.
America needs creation, not destruction. Cooperation, not contempt. Security, not anarchy.
Well, what if you're cooperating, though, and you still get brutalized? Like George Floyd did. What do you do then?
Healing, not hatred.
This speech is not healing.
Justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed. 100%, we will succeed. Our country always wins.
So, fuck that. Fuck that we will always win nonsense, okay? You say it about things that, like the COVID-19 thing, we will win. Like, isn't that just the cutest thing to say? What do you mean win? What the fuck are you talking about? How are you winning? Your country is in chaos because of systemic issues. How do you win from that? How? You can't put win in this conversation. That is such nonsense. We're gonna win. Really? Hey, George Floyd, you died. Guess what? We're gonna win after that. That's how that sounds to me. Let's win. The fuck is he talking about?
That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights.
So that part with the Second Amendment rights, how was that even in this conversation? Who was attacking the Second Amendment rights? What this is, if you know what dog whistling is, this is what it is. This is a dog whistle, all right? If you don't know what it is, feel free to Google, all right? So what he's saying right now is basically he's giving the silent okay dog whistle for people that have firearms that are civilians to go out and shoot people. This is what the dog whistle is. You can argue with me if you want, but you're wrong. And I'm a pro Second Amendment guy. All right, I used to own guns. Obviously, I fired a shitload of guns. I'm a Marine. You know, I understand the right to have a gun, but putting the Second Amendment thing in this speech, talking about police brutality and the death of an African American man, that got murdered for 9 minutes, and civil unrest. What the fuck does that have to do with the Second Amendment? Literally nothing.
Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country.
Good luck.
We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard.
So he called them weak on the phone, is what he did. That's what he did. He just called them weak. You know, as their cities burn, they called them weak. He also, here we go.
In sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets.
Yes, dominate the streets. That's what you should do in America, is dominate the streets. That sounds like a great idea. Dominate the streets of a nation that was founded by a revolution. That's a fucking great idea.
Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled.
Not going to end well.
If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
What he just said is a serious issue. So for those that may not understand, there's a thing called the Insurrection Act. All right, and this was in, I think, 1807. It was in the 1800s. Pretty sure it's 1807. But it's basically used to, a president can use his powers to deploy the military against their own citizens to quell uprisings. It's an incredibly dangerous power to wield, and I think it is something that should be up to Congress and not one person, especially somebody like this, to be honest with you. I said it when President Obama was the president of the United States, is that he did some things where he used his executive powers to push things through. And people can quote me on this. It's on Facebook. I could bring it up. But I said that, listen, what he's doing now, if you're a Democrat, sounds cool and all, but what happens when the next person comes in and he does something you don't want him to do? This is what it is. It's doing stuff like this. And he has supporters that are going to support him in doing this. All right. Anytime you use the military, it should not be a single person that deploys them. It should be up to a whole bunch of people. It should be up to Congress. And it used to be up to Congress up until, I think it was President Obama. So it used to be, you had to use the Congress to enact war, which is insane to me, that he's talking about using the military on his own citizens in such a cavalier manner. You know, this is how civil wars start. This is how revolutions start.
I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C.
Hold on. Let me just tell you real quick. Before this started, so I was watching the video like before it started, okay? Because usually if you're on YouTube, what happens is because he's notoriously late for everything, and I know this because I watched the COVID-19 task force videos where they would have like the actual start time, and I would be like on hold for like an hour, waiting for somebody to speak. It's insane. But anyway, this one was a little bit quicker than that. I think it was like maybe 20 minutes. And during those 20 minutes, you can literally hear explosions in the background. You can hear people chanting in the background, and then they dispersed them right before he came out. Like they used the Secret Service and the DCPD to disperse a peacefully protesting crowd.
What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily
So many thousands and thousands. You should have just said millions.
armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property.
Those are all bad things. Totally got you there. That kind of stuff should not happen. I'm with you.
We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew
That's pretty
will
early,
be
man.
strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent
I'm just saying I have a toddler and she goes to bed later than that. I mean, come on. 7 o'clock, for real.
life and property.
Hold on. Just pause it again. I'm sorry. But it's June and the day right now is long as fuck. Like the sun is up for like another couple of hours at 7 o'clock. So yeah, I don't, the 7 o'clock thing seems kind of, to me, like 9 o'clock seems reasonable, I guess. I don't think there should be a curfew, but that's just me. But 7 o'clock seems like some nanny bullshit.
Will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences.
Oh no,
in
lengthy
jail.
sentences.
This includes Antifa and others who are.
I don't understand why he's calling out Antifa. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, they made Antifa, and don't get me wrong, I don't like Antifa at all, to be honest with you. Like, I'm like, whatever. But, like, calling out Antifa, making them, like, a terrorist organization, I'm like, okay, but what is the point, I guess? Like, it's not just Antifa that's doing this, The people that have legit complaints, that have legit issues, that are not part of any organization are doing this. And so for him, this is what I keep talking about. It's the us versus them thing. He needs the bad guy. It's crazy. It would be like if he was Batman and he just kept inventing Jokers. That's what he needs to do. Like, seriously, he needs to make a bad guy to make himself seem relevant. But I am not fooled by these tactics. Like, your us versus them thing does not work on me. Hopefully these sorts of conversations that I'm having with you will help you realize that what he's doing is silly nonsense. Stop the us versus them, because they're American citizens. And what they're doing is wrong. I totally get it. But you can't blame this all on one organization. Especially an organization with no leader. They have no leader.
Are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law.
We don't have one law, you silly fuck. All right, god damn it. See, I needed a beer, and that's why I'm cursing more. I need a couple of beers, actually. So I apologize for my language. I usually try to speak with more respect, especially for the president. Even though I don't like him and his policies, mainly his actually no, it's him and his policies at this point. It's both. With President Obama, I didn't like his policies, but I thought he was a decent human being. With this guy, I don't think he's a decent human being, and he has terrible policies. So the one law thing, we don't have one law. we have laws, plural. It's not just one.
And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you. We will help your business.
You're not helping us.
We will help your.
When once this one law is enacted or whatever, once we get rid of all the Antifas, I guess, we'll help you. What you know what you didn't do? You haven't been helping us since this whole thing started, since COVID-19 started. You've passed nonsense bills that help some people and mostly corporations. That's what you did. All right. This is part of the unrest. This is what you need to understand. All right, is that people are angry because they're broke. They don't have jobs. They have serious problems that you don't seem to be willing to address. You haven't addressed it so far in this speech. All right? You need to understand what they're going through, why they're angry. Actually sit down with them. But you're not going to do that because you don't seem to want to understand what they're going through. You just want to do the us versus them thing and throw the military at the problem and do all this other nonsense. But none of that stuff is going to help the problem. It's just going to get worse. I expect tomorrow for more cities to burn. Tonight, actually. Tonight, more cities are going to burn. I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. People are not going to sit down and take nonsense like this. They're not going to do it. Okay? This is not how Americans have been programmed. I sometimes I question if he even understands what it is to be an American. Like, seriously. Like, does he understand what it's like to be an American that wasn't born with millions of dollars in their bank accounts? We're not all like that. All right, and this is not me attacking the millionaires and billionaires. Listen, I want to be one of them, okay? I have the American dream still. I still want to get there. All right? I don't think they're all bad. But this guy is not doing great, okay? He was born with so many more resources than the vast majority of Americans, and he refuses to really even recognize that at all. And it shows with the way that he speaks about America, because the version of America that he lived in and the version of America that pretty much anybody that's listening to this lives in is vastly different. Let's keep it going.
Family. America is founded upon the rule of law.
America was not founded on the rule of law. Okay, again, this is history. We were founded on overcoming unjust laws. That's why we had a revolution from England. How do you not know that? Like, seriously. The fact that this person, the fact that not only he doesn't know that, and the fact that his speechwriters didn't decide to like edit stuff out of this shows that there's a systemic problem with whoever he's working with. We overthrew laws to become a country. Like, seriously. That's what we did. And don't get me wrong, after we overthrew England, we had problems, all right? Obviously, people of color, we were still fucked, all right? But Caucasians in America were pretty much good to go for a good long time. So for him to not even like recognize that and do like this nonsense lip service, it's like, come on, man. Come on.
It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life.
Really not.
But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no
so
safety,
silly.
There is no future.
Everything you just said was such nonsense. If you're a person of color that's poor here in America, everything you just said, you're just gonna be like, huh? Like, what? What is he saying? Oh, let me see if I can rewind a little bit.
Where there is no justice, there is no liberty.
Okay, so there was no justice so far for George Floyd and a whole slew of people of color that have died at the hands of police brutality. So, does that apply to what you just said? Do they apply?
Where there is no safety, there is no future.
Where there is no safety, there is no future. So go to any ghetto here in America. They don't have safety. Where's their future? That's what I want you to fight for. Their future.
we must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country.
Not really.
By far, our greatest days lie ahead.
Wait, I thought you made America great. How do the greatest days lie ahead? How is that possible?
Thank you very much. And now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
The bunker. I'm just kidding. It wasn't the bunker. What he did right after this, that would have been funny if he went to the bunker. Or to take a shit. I mean, that would have been funny too. But where he actually went was to a church where what I talked about earlier on this React was that they dispersed a whole bunch of peaceful protesters right before they started. You can hear them shooting out the gas canisters, and there were explosions and rubber bullets being shot just before this happened. And so what they were doing was they were dispersing peaceful protesters from in front of the White House so that President Trump could walk from the White House to a church so he can hold up a Bible for a photo op. That was cute. Yeah. That's what he did today here in America. Disperse peaceful protesters for a photo op. That's our president. That's how I honestly feel. It's an amazing time to be alive here in America. It's disappointing, and I try not to just like fucking cry about it. Seriously, cry about what's happening right now. You know, I am sort of at a loss for words for how low we have been drawn down to in the span of 3 years here in America. All right, and this is a man that I gave him a chance. I really want him. In my honest thoughts are, I want him to do the best that he can for America, to advance America so we can be a better America. But that is not happening. And because it's not happening, that's why you see me here. I'm going to call it out. I'm going to let you know how I feel about, certain events that are happening here in America. And I hope that it helps you. I mean, it helps me to talk about it, get stuff off my chest, so I can process it a little bit better. Because some of this stuff, I'm not writing down so far. Maybe I might have to in the future, especially if somebody's like super mad and in the comments, he's so disjointed, blah blah blah. I'm just kidding. Fuck you too. I'll keep doing it this way. I might write stuff down eventually, but I like to keep things off the cuff so it seems more genuine to you, to be honest. And this is the way that my thought processes normally work, is calling it as I see it. And the way I see things right now in America, things are grim as fuck. All right, they're not looking good. So yeah, like I said before, I expect there to be way more riots, looting, and protesting now. I really do. This is like the exact opposite of how you quell these sorts of issues in America. This is not the way to go. Can we get a new president for real? Like, I have other thoughts about what should happen, but I don't want to get banned from YouTube. So I am not going to say it. But things that I think that should happen, it has nothing to do with like taking his life or anything like that. Like, I just don't want to see him in office anymore. Like, if he just went to Mar-a-Lago forever, that'd be great. If he went to a golf course forever, that'd be great. Have him live his best life somewhere else. Not doing this, because he's not good at this. He's terrible at it. He's terrible at it. Like, I don't understand. It's almost like somebody. I'm not even. Actually, I can say it. It's like he was born with all these resources, and he never had to work a hard day in his life, because that is literally that dude's life. He didn't work hard at all for what he got. And people in America work hard. There are millionaires and billionaires here in America that worked hard for what they got. All right, he is not one of them. He was born with so much wealth most people cannot fathom, you know, and he is now he shouldn't be leading. He should, if you can't even conceive the plight of the common man in America, you shouldn't be leading. That's my honest opinion. I thought when he first got elected, I was like, oh, a businessman. Maybe he'll run this a little bit better like a business and like pull in project managers and actually understand what's going on in America and get to work and fix problems. That's not what he did. He did the exact opposite. He got a bunch of yes men, and when they weren't yes men or women, he would just fire them. He only has people around him right now that are just like, yeah, great job, which is what you would do if you had a bunch of money. You would just, I mean, not everybody. That's what the stereotypical person would do. Stereotypical, like, millionaire, billionaire would do is just hire people to say, like, yeah, doing a great job, and then fire the rest. This is a parody of a person. You know, this is incredibly. It's incredibly silly. Like this, like we're living in idiocracy. Seriously, to me, this is like idiocracy. This dude's President Camacho. If he comes out with like a with a AR-15 and starts shooting in the air, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. If he started telling people that, you know, Gatorade will cure our crops, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he already told people to inject, you know, bleach and UV rays into their bodies. That's just as ridiculous. So, anyway, try to keep this a little bit shorter than normal. So, that's it. With that, I mean, at the end of all these, I'll try to keep it positive. So again, treat everyone with decency. Don't treat people like our president. If you see somebody having problems, try to understand their problems, and then maybe it'll change your perspective on life and like how they're living. Talk to people. If you're a racist, or not even, I'm gonna say if you're racist. If you have a problem, actually no, it would make you racist. So I'm sorry. If you made through this entire podcast or react or whatever, and you don't like black people, and I might have changed your mind, find somebody that looks like me and talk to them. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them how they were brought up. Ask them how, ask them, just talk to them, and ask them for like genuine, honest answers. Because I can almost guarantee you for most people of color, if you ask them how they're doing, they're going to tell you probably 95% of the time, I'm doing all right. They're probably not doing all right. All right. So just ask them twice, maybe 3 times. Not more than 3 times, though. That'd be fucking annoying. So just ask them how they're doing. And get an honest answer, if you can. And with that, I'm out. Peace.